Hi, everyone. We're at the top of the hour. Before we continue, I do not have the permissions to live stream. Is anybody here available to live stream to YouTube, please?
So this is Brian Robbins, his call.
Yes, Cindy is supposed to be here to start that. Let me see if I don't have permission either, unfortunately.
It's being recorded, so we can ask someone to edit it and upload it later.
I can take that action item after we're done. We are already 1 minute in. Let's go ahead and start with discussions. The slides are posted. Brian, I believe you have the first item.
Yeah, thanks. I just said, I like the new deck format. I mean, this isn't just for this meeting; it's across the board. It's just so much easier to read. So thank you for that. I know that I'm not going to say it right. Moar, kind of like the pirate pronunciation. Can you give a quick overview of that one again and just see, because I noticed it's kind of steady and how much you focus on that. I like that particular metric, but maybe just voice over a little bit on how you view that.
Sure. I'll link the slide in your bullet points too as well. We have a snapshot of it in slide 17. We do have the instruction how to pronounce it in the handbook too. It's please feel free to take a look. Moar is the MRs from customers times the ARR of that customer. So if a customer has, per se, 1 million in ARR, and we have 10 MRs from that customer in a given month, Moar will be $10 million in MR dollars. It's a different currency that we invented to measure that. And we did reach the target briefly in January, but it's still proven volatile. Right now, we're focused on the foundation of the wider community, which is overall community contributions, monthly, measured uniquely. Hope that answers the question.
It does answer the question. I'm curious. It's just, I guess, really determining the success of the highest paid customers in the community, the community sort of giving back from the amount of MRs. It's like, what do we really glean from that? Is it just customer intimacy?
We incentivize customers with the higher amount of ARR, and that speaks to how contributions from enterprise customers better fit towards enterprise use cases. Yeah. That's why it has a calculation towards higher ARR and incentivize us to do that.
Cool. Thanks for just providing a quick overview. It's an interesting metric.
Sure, anytime. Sid, I believe you have number 7.
Yeah, I saw the to-date number of wider community merge requests in March was 88. What's your forecast for the month?
You mean the number of contributors, Sid, or number of merge requests?
Ooh, the thing that had 88 and 20 last month. Okay,
so this is the latest status is in slide 16. This is unique wider community contributions for the month, per month. It's increased to 101 as of this morning. We believe we can get close to 120 plus for the month of March. We're doing a big push to get as high as possible and potentially get closer to 150, which is our goal for the quarter.
Ooh, that's awesome. But and that's why the number of unique contributors, right? And,
yes.
And then, but if you're doing like 120 a month, then 150 for the quarter seems very feasible.
We hope so. There's also a trend of we're targeting new contributors per month, and we're seeing the total amount of MRs decrease overall. It could be because of the global situation. Right now, we're targeting new contributors for the month and first-time contributors to widen our geography. Yeah, that sets the foundation for next quarters.
I love the focus on number of unique contributors instead of MRs. I think it's important to in the end, it's all about people. So I love that. Thank you.
Sure.
What's the hybrid stand for in two GCP cloud native hybrid reference architectures?
We had a lot of debate here. Ty, do you want to take up this one?
Yeah, I can take this one. So when we talk about cloud native, we're talking about building what components we can in Kubernetes. Right now, that's stateless components, but we can't build stateful components in Kubernetes yet. So that's the hybrid there. Those are still using Omnibus.
Cool. So Omnibus for like the GitLab servers and Kubernetes for the web app servers.
Yep, correct.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Number 9, what's the new data source that we got unblocked? The SaaS data transfer cost. We were waiting blocked on a new data source. We got it. So yay. What is it?
It's the raw data for container registry and HA proxy. And we were blocked because we want to create a single source of truth in Sisense. We now have help from infrastructure to work on the data ingestion, and we're collaborating with the centralized data engineering team here as well. So we have started the progress here. We don't have an ETA yet when the data will be in Sisense. So we aim to have a single source of truth finally in Sisense.
Cool, that's awesome. And then probably not fit for the public stream, but if someone has like kind of a rule of thumb of what percentage of our infrastructure cost is consumed by data transfer and puts it in the doc, that'd be interesting to me. We can also give a range. Number 10, I want to congratulate the team on hitting the wider community contributors goal in February for the first time, going over 120. That's really awesome. And also the Moar, that's my pronunciation. I think that's more priority-like. I think we should stick with that. In January, we hit that for the first time. And it's a bit of a arbitrary metric, and it's a bit of and there's a lot of jitter in it. It goes up and down, but I think getting closer to our biggest customers is something that's super cool on the engineering side. And I think making them feel like treating them like owners, which is open source is all about, is going to be super cool. So great to see us hitting that goal. Brian, you had a question about Moar.
It's just a really, I love the sort of sentiment on like, how we view it, but it really is an interesting metric to think about how others in the industry would measure that. I've never thought of how you would, and SaaS company can't do MRs necessarily. Other open source companies could probably do something, but I love it because I think it's a real indicator of how successful, from even like a customer success point of view. Be interesting to take some of that information. I don't know how you distill it down, but like putting it into Gainsight, because if you notice that Moar was like not where you would want it to be from an enterprise customer, that would be something you'd really want to go, hey, why is this not happening? And I think it's as I think about our data science models coming up around churn and contraction, like that might be something we'd want to add into the model as an indicator, at least for the enterprise customer side. So I think it's a cool, very cool metric.
So
Awesome.
if I can jump in for awareness, I'll be shy on the details because we're in a public stream, but MEC has a new role, a director of contributor success starting. This individual joins from another very large prominent open source project out there that has the fanciest scoring algorithms for contributors and stuff like that probably exist out there. So this person's joined, I think, in a matter of weeks with all of this experience and knowledge that we're excited to be kind of like interpreting and selectively applying and stuff like that. So I think you're going to see a lot of stuff on this front very soon.
Yeah, so Mac, I'm actually gonna bring this up with Brian Robbins, with Rob Parker, and just sort of as we continue to build those models out and make it more rich, maybe we'll have to figure out a way of that signal.
Happy to collaborate.
Cool.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about Moar a little bit. And Shadows, maybe take this edit and embed it on the Moar section of the website. So the reason we look at Moar is that we want to get close to our biggest customers. Our biggest customers that spend most money on GitLab, like, are the most enthusiastic about us. but it also tends to be organizations where it's harder for individual contributors to kind of commit to an open source project. It tends to be a little bit more paperwork and things like that. So if we just push for like increasing the number of contributors, we tend to overlook them. But it's the most important group for us. Like these are the people really invested in GitLab. So we want them to have a ton of return. And GitLab makes a lot of things better. But one thing that might get harder as you move from DIY DevOps to a DevOps platform is that you have a little bit less control. Before you were making all the digital duct tape, you had 50 people working on it. You could do things sometimes in very quickly. So we'd love for most of those 50 people to move on, don't do something that differentiates the customer business. But it would be great if a few of them stay behind and contribute to GitLab, because it makes GitLab better for everyone. It makes sure that if that customer has a strategic need, they can quickly help themselves. But it also tends to be that those contributors serve as a knowledge center within the company, kind of an easy to access knowledge base of like, hey, can I do this with GitLab? Can I do that? So it's the customer wins, the GitLab community wins, and it makes them feel like owners. And we're competing with DIY DevOps, so they made everything. That had a big sense of ownership. We want to have some of that sense. And that's why we're measuring this and we're driving this. And I think there's a huge task for us to kind of educate our sales force and empower them with materials that shows the benefit of having a few contributors on their side as well. And really make this a project of thousands of organizations. Mac, anything you want to add?
We've been using the term co-building and co-creating with customers more. In fact, in the slide, we actually did an outreach to two customers that are interested in contributing. One of them brought knowledge on auditing configurations before a failover, and we're in the process of making that tool more widely available. And another is interested to contribute with a dedicated intern on their side or a team member, so that aligns with the tone that you already spoke of.
Thanks so much.
There's nothing else. Shall we move to 12? Justin?
Sure. I think I have the next one. I'll share a personal anecdote quick though. My last company, I led the charge to get us off of DIY DevOps and onto GitLab. And the biggest opponent of that decision was the leader of the DIY DevOps team. And the thing that I was able to convince him of was what Sid just said: go repurpose the engineers on your team to contribute back to GitLab because it's open core. I don't know if that's why he capitulated eventually, but eventually he said, oh, fine, whatever, go buy GitLab. We'll be better off. And I'm not sure if they ever contributed, but it was definitely a selling point. So Mac, you answered my question on 12. I was curious if we have a histogram on contributors over contributions. So I'll look at those. Thank you. And then 13, I was sort of curious related to that data, if we have some kind of a North Star. So like, I assume that there's a lot of contributors that might contribute once and then they never contribute again. So is there some threshold where 6 contributions means you're going to be a regular contributor or something like that? And have you looked into that before?
That's awesome. We just started to measure this. We have a measure called last 3 months consecutive contributors. I see it as a dual track. One is expand the landscape, so new contributors, new unique contributors per month, first-time contributors. The second is we need to save the progress, and we were measuring contributors that consequently contributes for 3 months in a row, and we want to make sure that foundation increases and also expands, because those are the foundation you want to build next month, next quarter. They need to come back and retain them. We did an experiment to give out swag for the people that contributed every month in FY22 Q4, and we started to see them coming back this quarter. We don't have a clear conclusion yet, but we are looking into saving our progress, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Sid, I believe you have 14.
Yeah, thanks. On that graph that shows that ratio, is that everyone or just the wider community? Because right now it says community, and of course GitLab is part of the community.
That is just the wider community. We will correct that. My apologies.
Thanks. No apologies necessary. Thanks, Mac.
We're at the end of the agenda. There are no more items. We appreciate your feedback and discussion. I will look forward to see you again. Thank you very much.